Okay, welcome to the Blackletter Brunch. I'm Raul Martinez, and I'm excited to introduce our three presenters today. Andrea Wunderlich, a calligrapher operating out of Germany. Angelika Doppelbauer, the director of the Bartlhaus Museum in Austria. And calligrapher and Argentinian textile artist Marina Soria, whose work was exhibited at the Bartlhaus Museum last month. Angelika is in Ireland currently, so today's presentation is going to be very international. We have presenters in Germany, Austria, and Ireland, and participants all over the world. So today's presentation will be about the recent exhibit at the Bartlhaus Museum, featuring work by Marina Soria, Izzy Pludvinsky, and other artists. I can't remember the name of the other two, I'm sorry. But perhaps you can tell us a little bit about that exhibit, Angelika and Marina and Andrea.
The two missing artists are Brody Neuschwander from Belgium and Wissam Shoukat from Iraq.
Okay, thank you.
And Izzy Pludvinsky, did you say that?
Yes.
Yeah, Izzy Pludvinsky, Brody Neuenschwander, Wissam Shoukat, and Marina Soria. So, is that exhibit still on now, or did it end?
It's on until the 27th of October.
Until the 27th of October, okay. Right. Yeah, I wish I could get over there, but Andrea, would you like to start your presentation? We could I think we'll see some of the artwork that was at the exhibit.
We'll see all of it. So yeah, I'm taking you with me to Austria to that exhibition, and this exhibition will like show my private view on it. I'm sure that Marina could give her own lecture, Angelika could give her own lecture on that exhibition, the idea, the development, and everything. So I will take you with me on my private trip to Austria. So therefore, I'm sharing my screen. And now I'm doing this.
Okay, so I can see your presentation now. It looks good.
Very good, very good.
In full screen mode.
In April, we decided, well, I was in contact with Marina and we were sending messages back and forth about that she's coming to Europe. She will have that exhibition in Austria. And as we are friends, not only colleagues this many years, of course, I wanted to meet her because she came all the way from Argentina. So that was my main point on going to Austria. Just to show you the way we went. So I'm located up here. So Zuhause means home. And that's in Germany. And I guess you can you see my cursor now? No, you can't. To the left, you can see Frankfurt. And just around the corner from Frankfurt is Offenbach, where we all want to be or already have been at the Klingsbo Museum. And then we go from my home down south into Austria and to the Schrift- und Heimatmuseum Bartlhaus is the official name, and that means lettering and homeland museum.
So local heritage museum.
Thank you. Local heritage, that sounds much better. Local Heritage Museum. So to the left of that, you see Salzburg, and to the far right, you see Wien, that's Vienna. It takes us about 4 hours to go there, so that's not too long. And because we are at Blackletter Brunch, this lecture will not be about Blackletter, but I incorporated and included some Blackletter. So before going to the exhibition, we met Marina. And we went into the town of Gmunden, actually. And this is the door of the town hall. And you see, and that's Austria. That's like in Bavaria. You see Blackletter everywhere. And that is like the most prominent door in town, at the marketplace, like in the center. And there is some Blackletter, and I have a detail. Look at that. And it says in German, this is like old German or old Austrian. Wer ein Sech mit Unrecht fanget an, gar seltene, die mit Recht vollenden kann, which means who starts a thing or project or work with injustice can very rarely rightly complete it or finish it. So very wise. We went into town to have a look around and meet and talk. Look about happy faces. That was in a first step what it was all about. To meet Marina again, this was like a happy reunion. And then at the same time, that's just what we want Austria to be. Blue sky, perfect weather, mountains, a blue lake. That's 100% Austria. And the other thing that was great to see, so we had like half a day before we went back home and go to the exhibition opening. And we went to another exhibition before that. And just so you can see what it was and can look the artists up, I have included one photo. This is on that central spot where I put the red arrow. You can see that door I've just been showing you the black letters from. And that person, that is a sculpture by Kim Simonson, and that's his website. He's doing that sculptures, and they had an exhibition at ceramics factory exhibition space, and it was like in the woods, and all those little people were like standing there. Very, very interesting material and surfaces, and a joy to look at. So I would recommend looking up that artist, just you know. But we are here because of that exhibition, and that is the exhibition. So, and that was good, Raoul, from you. So not being sure about the other artists showing their work, because I guess not many people in the US have heard about that exhibition. And that's actually why I thought I'll just give a lecture for BLB, so at least you learn, because I find it a very impressive exhibition to happen in Europe. And then the Bartlhaus, you might have never heard about the Bartlhaus before, so I will tell you more about that in a second. So it is the calligraphy exhibition in 2024. The title is Beyond Tradition, and the grand opening was on April 27th, and it's running until October 27th. So where is it located? So this is the Bartlhaus. Letters all over. And again, you see some black letter above the entrance. Letters outside. That actually is the landing page of the website. And there it says, down there on the left, Willkommen im Bartlhaus, and I translated that. Down in the right corner, you see the website address, www.bartlhaus.at. Welcome at Bartlhaus. The Bartlhaus in Pettenbach is the only Austrian museum which is dedicated to calligraphy and lettering arts. Exhibitions display works by Austrian international calligraphers and themed shows of ex libris. A permanent show invites visitors to learn more about the founders of the venue, who are, and that will follow. And I have to say, I mean, you heard me talking a lot about the Klingsborn Museum, about the calligraphy collection in Berlin. But those are not places where you could just go and see calligraphy. You would have to have an appointment because these are archives. So the Bartlhaus is the only house where you could go and see lettering. They have work on permanent display, and then all those shows are coming on. Yeah, and I have put more red arrows on top there. So that house contains a printing workshop, and you actually have printing classes held there, Angelika, isn't that?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do regularly. And Marina has done a workshop.
Yeah, I was just about to say, so they have classes about printing and they have calligraphy classes. So Marina was not only showing her work, she was giving a workshop before the exhibition opened. They have permanent shows, that was the next word says. And then it is that, what was it, a local heritage museum.
Yes.
That's the fourth thing they have. So, yeah, I have more information about the founders. So 3 people founded it. So just that you hear about that. Why isn't that moving? Hang on. Oh. No. I think I have to stop the no. So these are the 3 founders. It's Leopold, I mean, if you go through Leopold Feichtinger, he was a full-time calligrapher who was specialized in graffiti and lettering on walls. And he was a student of Friedrich Neugebauer, who was professor for calligraphy, lettering and graphic design. So the German is Schrift und angewandte Grafik, which I put together in lettering and graphic design. And that might be the only name you have heard before, Friedrich Neugebauer. I can tell you, I'm sure Karl Ross has heard that name. And I think Julian Waters is a fan too. The third person is Ottmar Bremsteller, and this is why they have so many ex libris there. He was a passionate lettering and calligraphy enthusiast and ex libris collector. So that is also the permanent exhibition they have there, is the work of those 3 people, not the work of the collection of Bremsteller and then the work of Neugebauer and Feichtinger. So this is what is there. So that was like a private initiative that founded this house. And I have been there before, and there will come more about that in a minute. But from, oh, and it's not moving. Okay, so I have to do this. These are the books that I have, and I would recommend, especially the first one. It is in German, but a lot of his work is shown in there. So this is by, shows Friedrich Neugebauer's work. I have opened one page, and of course I went back to Blackletter, so you are happy again. It was printed by Neugebauer Press, and there is the ISBN number. I'm sure you can still find it in antique bookshops if you're interested to go for a search. This is how I got them. And it shows his exquisite lettering. And when you see, I always recommend going to see the real thing. Always take the chance, go to see original artwork. And I was so impressed when I saw Neugebauer's original work. And that is, well, there are many points to make for a visit there, but this is on permanent display, his work. So I mean, go for it whenever you have the chance. So I have been there. This was the third time. I have been there twice because I have been showing my work at the Bartlhaus twice before. And so for me as a German calligrapher, trying to be a professional and well-known German calligrapher, the Bartlhaus would definitely be on my list of places where I want to show my work. So I can't remember how it went because that is many years ago, like 10 years ago. I guess that I just sent an email with photos of my work, and my dream came true, and I got a solo show. That was the first step. And I found on the website the invitation booklet, and it's this. Well, it's 12 years ago. That was my solo exhibition, and you can see something that looks like Blackletter here and here, and that shows two things. Number one is that I keep working on texts by Jean-Paul, who is a German author, not very well known because his texts are very hard to read, but I'm working on his texts again because there is an anniversary next year. And it also shows the first time or the first works that show my work on fracture and that show my research on Rudolf Koch. And later on, I came up with my workshop, Who's Afraid of Rudolf Koch? And this is where it all started. And I've been showing this as a first step at the Bartlhaus in Austria in 2012. And so I knew everybody was showing their works there. Every like professional or well-known calligrapher I was a fan of has been there before. So I wanted to be there too. And it was great. They had a great team who would help hanging. Who knows me knows I hate hanging. And it was great. But through the years, and that was 2012, long time ago, it had aged. So it needed to modernize, it needed a fresh up, and that would come. But before that, I showed another exhibition, and that was already the following year. And look at that. Forget that I have to press the button. That is an exhibition. It actually is a group exhibition. And Margaret, look at that. That is your piece. On the top.
Oh, yes.
On the third one on the right side, the red lettering, that is Margaret's piece because she was part of my symposium. I was having a symposium at my studio in 2012, and it moved to Austria after we had shown it in Germany in 2013. So I had artists in my studio for a week, and everybody was working on text by that weird German author Jean-Paul. And then we were showing works. So not shown here, but Helene was part of it. Not shown here, but Izzy Plutwinski was part of it. Ewan Clayton was part of it. show you is Shola, she was there. Katharina Pieper was there. That is the other work in black and blue. And Carrie Wouters from Belgium. They have all been staying here, working in my studio. And finally, I asked at the Bartlhaus, and they were happy to have me with that group exhibition, which was a great success, of course. So this is why I know the Bartlhaus. And the next time I heard from the Bartlhaus, I mean, I heard things in between, but not really. But when Marina came up to me and told me, well, I'll be coming to Europe, I'll be teaching, and I'll be having an exhibition. Where? At the Bartlhaus. Really? And then she told me, who are the other artists? And I was very impressed. And then she told me, yeah, because they also, well, I didn't even know if you knew that was a new curator they had, but at least you told me it's Angelika Doppelbauer who is in charge now. And I said, well, she's new. And then it became clear that Angelika was there to refresh the museum. And that made me very happy. I was really curious to see the new museum, to learn what it looks like now. So let's move to the museum. So that is the end. And more Blackletter. That's because we are in Austria. And I guess that are the letters by Neugebauer. And I guess also the logo. And you see that little black frame on the right side. So on the right is a detailed photo, and it says exhibitions. And that's just that Beyond Tradition exhibition is not the only one that is in the house at the moment. It's also another Ex Libris exhibition, a mail art exhibition where everybody could send in work. And also the printing workshop is open to be visited. So who's there? I translated some phrases from the introduction into the exhibition. So the calligraphy exhibition plays with one of the leading themes of the Capital of Culture year, and that is the theme tradition. So what is Capital of Culture year? As far as I understood, the whole region down there is celebrating that they are the capital of culture. That makes some public money flow, and you can apply for your cultural idea that you want to make happen during that year. And this is what Angelika came up with, and her team, of course. Is that right, Angelika?
It's the European, it's from the European Union, and every year some other country can be the European capital of culture. This year it's 3 capitals of cultures in different countries. And in Austria, for the first time, it's a whole region. So usually it's one city, but Austria applied for this region of the Salzkammergut. And the Bartlhaus and Pettenbach is part of this region, and that's why we could apply for a project in this European capital of culture.
And did I understand it right that therefore you started like renovating, or was that your plan anyway?
No, we could get some money from this European capital of culture, and that's why we could do one room newly from the permanent exhibition, and also we had some money for this special exhibition Beyond Tradition.
So yeah, thank you. So Angelika invited 4 international artists. Her choice was Marina Soria from Argentina, creates calligraphies whose color and texture are based on historical textiles from South America. She will exhibit these along with traditional weavings. Most of you know that. It's just a sentence for each artist from their booklet. Isi Plotwinski, I think many of you know him too, from Israel. He will show calligraphy that draws from the tradition of Hebrew calligraphy and looks at it with a contemporary eye. And remember, there's another circle closing because he was part of my group exhibition in that same house years before. Wissam Shafkat from Iraq, who now lives in the United Arab Emirates, shows work from his series Calligraph Forms. He creates calligraphies with Arabic characters, which he then cuts up and reassembles. This results in fascinating new forms that are reminiscent of characters, but break them again and again through intersections. Brody Neuenschwander, well, we all know him, born in the US, has lived in Belgium for many years, challenges the medium of calligraphy on several levels, approaching scriptural and conceptual art. He does not transpose existing texts, but creates his own in the process of writing, referring to current social issues. To this end, he combines his calligraphies with painting, typography, and integrates historical writings and prints in the form of collage. The 4 positions can be seen in 4 exhibition rooms on the upper floor of the Type Museum. And I hope it now dawns on you what a big thing that exhibition is. I mean, we are very surprised. Who is coming? Who's coming to Austria? That was a great surprise. I was very proud of Marina that she was part of that. And I wanted you to learn about that. So yeah, I have 2 questions. And I asked them, Angelika and Marina, before. I met Angelika there in Austria, and she turned out to be the nicest person ever. So I dared asking that. How did you decide on which artists to choose? Because I was really curious how she came up with that combination of people.
So you want me to answer now?
Please.
Well, I really was researching a lot and trying to find people out of different cultural contexts and to combine these positions. And I thought, I was really looking around the internet and on Instagram and Facebook and looking for positions that were for me were interesting and breathtaking. And then I found Marina's works and I thought, wow, this is something so special and different, and I wanted to show her. And it was kind of the same with the other positions when I saw the works, and I thought it would be great to combine these very different people coming from different cultural contexts and different roots, and all of them knowing the tradition of calligraphy very well, but going beyond this tradition. That's what I found very exciting.
So, do you have any calligraphic background at all?
I was fearing for this question. So I'm art historian and I'm curator and I'm very much in contemporary art. That's my background. And I was asked by the team of the museum if I could be the curator. And it was planned that I would do it together with Ute Feldreher, who was the curator for 10 years for the museum before. But when COVID came, it was very difficult for Ute, and she just couldn't go on being the curator, and from one day to the other, I was there all alone on myself, being the curator for calligraphy, and I just tried to do the best, and do it with my art historian eye and not with a calligrapher's eye. So yes, that's it.
Sorry for asking that, but with that question or answer, I want to point out that I think it's great that you're not coming from calligraphy, because this provides a big chance for fields, because you come with a fresh eye and you could make decisions only because you look at work, not because you know the people or you know the background, because we sometimes know each other for years and years, because we are like a small community. But you came with a fresh eye, and then still you chose 4 outstanding calligraphers, but from such a variety of fields, which is just great. So I think you've done a great job. Don't worry.
Thank you.
And Marina, well, the question I wrote down here, how did this go on your side? So the question is, did you get a call or an email, a letter, or what was it? How do you feel? Did you take it serious in the beginning, or how was it?
Okay. At that time, that was the beginning, at the end of January, I was preparing for a solo exhibition in the country just beside me, in Uruguay. I was taking 35 of my one-of-a-kind books to make a solo exhibition. This was the very first time somebody was showing calligraphy and art books. So I was really concerned. I had a lot of things in my mind. At the same time, we were working with a symbiosis, a project in Singapore. So I was coaching students, and an email arrived about an exhibition taking place in Austria. And I read it like really quickly. And I said, of course, like, I'm going to collaborate. I always say yes. And then I'll figure out how to deliver a couple of pieces. And maybe, so I said yes. And then maybe it was, I don't know, a week later or 10 days later, and an email arrived saying that there were only 4 people exhibiting. And when I saw the names, I say, there must be some kind of mistake, because there are much better calligraphers than me. They can't pick me. I can't be there. So I said, I need to have a talk with you, Angelika. And so she was so nice, and she said, yes, of course, we can have a Zoom talk. And we got on Zoom and we chat for, I don't know, for more than an hour, I suppose. And I explained her that I did it fine, but there were much better calligraphers than me. And I started mentioning like Thomas Ingmar, Monica Dingo, Yuki Miyano, blah, blah, blah. I kept on talking. And at some point she stopped me and said, yes, maybe you're right, but nobody does what you do. You blend textiles with calligraphy. That is not very common. And that is the kind of thing I'm interested in. So I said, okay, maybe this is the time to shut my mouth and accept that she has picked me. And that was the end of my discussion. And I started talking to and trying to cooperate as much as I could. But of course, I live in the bottom of the world and mail is a nightmare. Then I discovered that it's not only a nightmare for Argentinian people, but Easy also had issues for delivering stuff. So maybe Angelika will tell you later. But so yes, that's how I became part of this dream team of calligraphers. And I told Angelika that the easiest way to take my work to bring my work to Austria was by going together with my work. So that's how we figured out a workshop. And happily, I could teach some other workshops around in Belgium. And so that's how I ended up at the exhibition. But this was like 2 years ago. But this was in 2003. And in 2003, I was going to Europe. So half of the exhibition went the year before, and the other half traveled with me this year. So when I arrived in London, later on I took a plane to go to Austria and drop half of the exhibition. So that is how it happened.
Yeah,
And
I think
true.
you can tell us more. You can tell us more about that when we are actually in the exhibitions and see your pieces, because of course that's not that easy. So let's go into the exhibition. It started with the opening. That was the opening. It was sunny and it was hot. It was burning hot. You try to get into the shade. So it was a big event. TV was there, radio was there, cultural people were there, calligraphers. I met some of my friends and colleagues there. Politicians, like a very serious official event. And also a lot of the artists in there. There are many projects from the other exhibitions. Unfortunately, only Marina came as from the Beyond Tradition exhibition. So they were standing there, and I have there's Angelika on the right in the blue dress, and to her left is Marina. Look how beautiful they look. As far as I remember, Marina, you are dressed in what would you call that in English? Folk?
Kind of, in a modern way. It is based on our traditions of
in a contemporary
gauchos
style,
Aboriginal way, but it is a designer, a modern designer that did that outfit, let's say.
Yes, and then you have Lederhosen to Angelika's left. Is that the mayor? Do I remember that right? Somebody politician. I think it was the mayor. So that's what you have in Austria, and that's what you would have in Bavaria too. People turning up in territory. There's Dirndl, you can see it on the left. Dirndl and Lederhosen, that would not be a surprise. So let's step into the museum. And I took a photo, well, these are official photos that Angelika actually sent me. I'm a professional photographer. This is why I put the name down there and in the right corner, Andreas Stroh, he's the photographer. And you see that originally, this is a historic building. Look at the wooden floor, look at the wooden ceiling. Then it has that fresh feeling, and that is like, that comes from the renovation and the new curating of things. So this is, and I have to ask Angelika, is this, I think, the printing
That's the
department.
book plate, Ex Libris, book plate
Ex
exhibition.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we see the Ex Libris exhibition. You see the drawers that you can open and close. I have a close.
Yeah, in the drawers there are all the techniques are explained. Yeah, all the different techniques of printing. So it's here it's what's it called? Oh my goodness.
I don't know. Lithography.
Lithography. Yeah.
Is it lithography then? I don't know. Well, we are not here for printing. We are here for the exhibitions, because from Ex Libris, which is on permanent display, we go to the mail art exhibition. Can you tell us what that was about?
Yeah, it was the idea to do a participatory exhibition, and I wanted people to write cards to me, and then there was the idea to do a proper mail art exhibition. So there are several mail art groups on Facebook, and I wrote an invitation that the museum was doing a mail art exhibition and was inviting people to write and to send us mail art. And this was, so I was so lucky because immediately people were starting to send us mail art, and it came from the whole world. So there were people from Japan, from Mexico, from the Ukraine, from Russia, from everywhere in the world sending us mail art. And we had more than 250 standings arriving at the Bartlhaus at the moment. And this is the first part I'm exhibiting, and I have been changing them now and hanging new ones so that I'm able to display everything that people sent us. And we invite our visitors at the museum. We give them cards where nothing is on, and they can draw, print, or do collages on it and send it to anybody they want, or send it to the people who sent us the mail art, so they can send it back and do this worldwide net of mail art and continue sending it to and fro.
I found it a great idea to involve the public, so you get better known, but at the same time you involve everybody, and that's good. So let's go to Beyond Tradition. Artist number 1, Marina Soria. This was kind of the centerpiece because it was also in the promotion booklet, this piece of yours. So I have photos from every artist combined with little videos. I would just go through everything, and whatever you have, if you have to add things, Marina and Angelika, or if there are any questions of any of you, please jump in and let us know. So this is Marina's, and there is another view of the house. So down there is the ground floor. When you go through the entrance that you've seen before, you would enter behind that table and then would go up the stairs into the actual exhibition. And again, you see it's like a traditional house with the floor and there hang the pieces. Yeah, there you see the stairs from another angle, and you see the door to the right, and the first video starts from looking from inside that extra door. So is this playing now? Yes. Of course, Marina brought books, which is better to handle to get them to Austria, I guess, because you can put them into a suitcase.
Well, actually, I became a book artist because of
You're
that.
muted, Marina.
I'm not. It doesn't seem I'm muted.
No, I can hear her.
Oh, that might be, hang on.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was saying that actually I became a book artist because of that. The way in which I could share my art with the world was by being able to fit it on my suitcase. So my books have the length of my suitcase, and they can be displayed and worked in bigger scales, but they have to fold to fit in the suitcase.
I think nobody would know that, but these are the decisions we as artists sometimes take or make. There is another view, and there is another video.
I had two smaller rooms, but two. So I divided these rooms into two of my themes. One is my alphabet inspired in an Andean culture called Chavin, which is this one. And the other one are my artworks and books inspired on what I call the Gaucho alphabet, which is an alphabet inspired in the cattle marks or brands of the province of Buenos Aires. So those are works on those two different alphabets.
That's it. And I have two more views. So this is the Gaucho alphabet work.
Yes.
And this is the other alphabet.
Yes. This is the Chavin culture. The painting on the left, on the top left, is the original textile that is now on exhibit in the Museo de Arte Chileno. I'm going to go and see the textile next month. I'm going to study this textile specifically. But based on that textile, I created a code, and I worked with that code, making texts and books.
So we go have a look at Izzy Plotwinski's work. He has that one room. This is view one. This is view from the other corner, opposite corner. And also I have a video. As the text in the booklet said, the one thing that Izzy does, he doesn't stay with the traditional Hebrew lettering, but he goes into contemporary designs.
I don't know, is he here now? Has he joined us?
I don't see Izzy in the participants list. Unfortunately, I don't think he's attending today.
It was very difficult recording Izzy's pieces because the glass on the paintings was creating a billion reflections. So that's why we did what.
Yes, I thought if it's such a good extra goodie to actually walk through, because you have to imagine we haven't been there. I mean, I have been there, but the others not. So it still is a good addition to the photo. So that's perfect.
In many of those,
we go into the next room to see Brody's work. Hang on, he has this room. So the hanging is different. Marina's was a mix of her books were into that drawers, glass drawers, and hanging. Izzy's has been framed behind glass, and Brody's hang. Like they hang only, well, held by these little on top to the left and the right of the pieces. But you will see in the video again. Here comes the video.
Bulldog clips, Andrea.
Yeah, maybe I tell something about this decision,
Yeah.
because I wanted that people see the papers, because I love his papers and the texture of the papers he uses, and I didn't want to show them behind glass. So I asked him if he would agree that I just display them without frames and without glass, and I think that it was a very good decision to show them like that.
We just saw that in the close-up. This is what you want to do. You want to go near and see the details.
Mm.
And that's another piece. Very hard to photograph. This is all embossing. That was Brody, and we are moving on into the next room. So for Wissenschaft, I have to say, well, when I heard the name, I looked him up on Instagram and found out I've been following him before, but I don't really much. I don't really know much in his work. And again, all I can say, the best thing ever is to see the real thing instead of online pictures, you know. So to go in that show to see his actual work was quite amazing. So this is the way they are displayed. And here comes the video.
Here I am having a video of Wissam's work. If they don't want to.
So that was the exhibition. I found it quite amazing to have it at the Bartlhaus. Yeah, and the good news is for you, when these photos and little videos haven't been good enough, there is a complete catalog, brand new, and you can find it on the internet. I'm sure Raoul will put that link into the chat for you to look it up online, so you can go through the works. And just on. So that was the Beyond Tradition exhibition at the Bartlhaus. The question is, and I told you before, this was part of a cultural, I would call it a cultural festival. What will be the future, the visions, the things to come? And I had a Zoom meeting with Angelika, and I saw it before on Instagram. They made up a new room that is representing Fichtinger's work and information about him. And I just great, look at that. So, you saw the other rooms before, which you still can see. It is a historic building with the historic wooden ceilings and the historic wooden floors. And now you enter the next room and it's painted all over in green. And this green is not only a bright color, but it stands for, and you might not know that, it's not blackboard in Germany and Austria, which would be in the US. A blackboard is black, and you would write with chalk on it in the schoolrooms. So in Germany and Austria, and I don't know where to in Europe, the blackboards are actually green. And this is what this color stands for. So people are invited to write on that walls. Am I telling the truth, Angelika, so far?
Yes, this is true. And there were several things we wanted to do. We wanted to do a new exhibition about Leopold Feichtinger, because there have not been any texts and you couldn't learn anything about his life when you went there. And we really wanted to do a fresh look about this exhibition. So I was cooperating with the University of Applied Arts in Vienna, and I was doing a seminar there. And the people you see on the photo beyond is the students. There were 11 students from the studies. It's a master study. It's called Expanded Museum Studies. And they were doing this room together with me. And we had designers, professional designers, Nicole Six and Paul Petrich, 2 Austrians who were doing a lot of exhibitions in different big museums like the Belvedere in Vienna or the Lentos Art Museum in Linz. And I asked them if they would do this project together with the students and with me. And they were doing this design, and we were working on the texts together and deciding which objects we wanted to have on display in this room. And that's why it looks how it looks. And it's quite modern, and it's quite a thing in Pettenbach. So there are some people who do not like it, and there are some people who like it very much. So it's quite controversial, and we have quite a discussion at the moment there.
Very good. Yeah. So here comes another private view from me. When I saw these photos, I asked Angelika, didn't this cause a scandal? And she started laughing, because that's exactly what it did. It caused a scandal. And I'm involved in a lot of networking and artist group here in my region. And I know from my experience how difficult it is when a group, the committee, or the public, that's the worst, has to decide about projects. Usually when I look at these photos, I would think you will never get agreement for this. But Angelika made it, you know. It was like, what was it? 3-2, 3 for the project, 2 against it or something. So it was very near to failure, but yes, you made it become true. And I gave her kudos for that. And that is the modernization I want to see. And we have to be very happy that this is happening, because, well, as I said before, this is like the only museum. It is a small one. We know that now, but it has calligraphy lettering on permanent display. And now you all learn that it is offering exhibitions on a high level of quality and skill, and art, the art of calligraphy. So this is worth all the work. And I'm very happy that I met Angelika. That was the good thing. So that was our trip to Austria. We met an old friend who is Marina. And we made new ones, which is Angelika and her family. And who knows me knows I love dogs. And thank goodness Angelika owns a dog. This is a beautiful little photo of her dog. So she stands for everybody new we met in Austria during our trip. And to end the whole thing up, I told you before what I expect when traveling to Austria: blue sky, mountains, lake, woods and everything, and black letter everywhere. The other thing I expect are things like these, sweets. So we have been in a cafe, Marina might remember.
Yeah, I do.
I've been eating this. So you eat this, it is very sweet, and you will not need to eat another one. You just can't eat another one right away after that. And I guess not for the next half of a year. In half a year, I'm ready for another one. Okay. So that was it for today. I'm stop sharing. And if there are any questions, we are happy to answer.
The dessert looks great.
Doesn't it? And it's small, but it's sweet for thousands
A
of them.
bomb. It's a bomb.
Sugar bomb.
I think Austria is very lucky in having such a wonderful museum, not just for calligraphy and to display lettering, but to have such a flexible arrangement where things can be accommodated in any kind of way. I'm just thinking about the recent exhibitions of lettering in the UK. And they're always to a certain size in a frame or a book, and they end up looking so much the same that even when pieces are different, they're corralled into typical display mode, which is so disappointing, not just for the people who've spent a lot of time producing the work, but for people who go to see it. They don't see anything different each time. Do you know what I mean? I'm not denigrating the exhibits. It's just how they have to be shown in old-fashioned museum settings. But, you know, thanks for showing us. It's a real eye-opener. And I knew it was a pretty special place, but not having been there, I would love to go sometime.
Well, at least your work had been there.
Yeah, a tiny bit.
Yeah.
A question for you, Marina. You mentioned the Chavin alphabet. Did I pronounce that right?
Yes,
Um,
Chavin.
Is that native to Argentina?
No, it's native to South America. It would have been the area of Peru and north of Bolivia, but they actually belong to a culture that it's the Inca Empire. So it's a legacy. You never know when one stops and when the other one comes on top. So that's why I'm going to the museum to study that. But it is very interesting because the motifs and the designs that I find in textiles are a code, even if we don't know that code because there's nothing written about it, because nobody could write about it. It's a predecessor of writing. There is a very famous, she passed away last year, but this famous historian from Argentina, she would say that the American textiles were a kind of lingua franca, or general knowledge. Through the designs and the motifs, they could tell us stories, legacies. You would know if the man was married, or if he had cattle, or if he had lands or crops or whatever. Everything was in a way written down in his poncho or his mantle. The problem is we don't know that code, but for me, it is really extremely interesting, and I'm trying to decipher.
It's been interesting the way you incorporated that into your artwork and your calligraphy. Bravo.
Yeah, I see letters all over the place, so maybe I'm just seeing letters and I'm translating them into paper, but they were weaved way before.
And then a question about the pieces that you displayed at the Bartlhaus. You showed quite a few pieces at that exhibit. How many were there?
How many were there? As I said, I had 2 rooms, and the previous year, in 2023, I had a solo exhibition at the Embassy of Argentina in Washington, D.C. So I had to make special pieces for the Oval Saloon, where they would do the exhibition. So those were some of the pieces that Angelika saw, and she wanted them for the Bartlhaus. So some of these pieces went directly from Washington to Austria that same year, and maybe all in all, I don't know. I made.
I think it's 15 or 16. I think.
Yeah, 15 or 16. I made a couple of new pieces because a couple of the ones that were in Washington still remained in Washington, were purchased by other collectors, and so I had to do a couple more, but it was great because there was a good purpose on creating these new pieces. I always have a billion ideas. I don't have the time to do them, but when I have a deadline, then I put hands into work and I manage.
And so did you put all of those pieces in your luggage?
No, half of them went on 2023 when I had a 70 days trip to Europe. I had 6 workshops last year teaching. And so since I had to go for teaching, I said, I have to, as soon as I arrived in Europe, I have to drop this stuff because these are stones on my suitcases. So that's how we arranged with Angelika. In the beginning, she was coming to London where I landed, but then we decided, or I offered, it was the same for me, to go to Austria, and I did not know Austria. And so I traveled, and we met in Vienna. And I handled half of the exhibition, the pieces that have been already hung at the embassy in Washington, D.C. And then the next half of it was taken this year in my trip and I was there a week before the opening. So a week before the opening, I taught a workshop at the Bartlhaus. Then we hung the pieces. The rest of the exhibition, all the other pieces were already hung. My room was empty by that time. So I gave a workshop. When the workshop was done, we hung my pieces. Then I left for a couple of days in Salzburg to wander around, and I returned back for the opening the next weekend.
Wow, you were busy.
Oh yes, and that was just the very beginning. And then I went on traveling. I had another 3 workshops to teach in Belgium. But I enjoy very much traveling and meeting friends and making connections. I love the connection thing. I love the calligraphy community. I live so far away, and there is so little people to talk about this passion we have down here, so that it is very joyful and very, I don't know what word to use. It's a blessing to have this community and to meet these ladies and to meet Andrea and meet my other friends and be able to speak for a long time or for an hour about letters.
Yeah. Were the other artists there on site for the opening? Wissam Shakat and Brody and Izzy?
I don't know, maybe
No, unfortunately, they could come for the opening.
I'm sorry, I didn't get that. Did you cut out a little bit? So they were there, or
Yeah,
they?
I don't know if my connection is good enough, but no, they could not come.
Oh, that's too bad. Yeah. It was a very cosmopolitan exhibit. I mean, you had artists from 4 different countries. Did that have, was that one of the reasons why you chose these artists, simply because they were from such diverse backgrounds, Angelika?
Yes, yes. This was an important reason because I wanted to show these different traditions and people who are very have their basis in this tradition and then put them together and also show the visual differences if you come out of a different tradition.
Mhm.
It's also so unusual to have an exhibition of calligraphy on that basis, which allows you to see a lot of work by just a few people and see how they approach their area of interest in lettering in a deeper way than just one piece from a lot of people, which is also very interesting to see. But that kind of intimate focus is tremendous, and it's one we don't ever or very rarely have in England. So I'm immensely jealous of it. And I think you were very clever to do it in that way. So
Thank you.
bravo, I'm mightily impressed.
Thank you so much. So it was also this European Capital of Culture that made it possible to do a project like that, because with all the transport and all the organization, you can imagine that this was quite a big project, and the museum does not have a fund because it's only it's only a private museum with not much money.
Sadly, we are left out of the European Union now, so
Yeah, I was just about to add on that. And you remember when I told you about that gathering in my studio of all those international calligraphers, actually from all over Europe. But that was only possible through funding.
yeah.
I got money from the government, the German government, the Bavarian government, more or less European money through a society. So otherwise, I cannot pay that. So they didn't have to pay for anything. I paid, not me, but the friends paid for traveling and the stay and the exhibitions. So that is the good thing when you have such a public event, because then you can raise the money from public groups and societies.
Let's hope our new government takes a rather more enlightened approach to the arts in the future, hey? But I'm not holding my breath.
One more question, Angelika. What is your dog's name?
My dog is called Leni.
Lenny? Oh, okay, he's cute.
Yeah, it's from Helene, which is Helena, I think, in English, and it's the shortcut from it's Leni, and she is 16 years old.
Wow, that's pretty old. Yeah, she's cute.
Yeah, the fun thing was, well, because it is a dog, I'm in awe from the first second. And the other thing is, my sister's dog, I have here in my studios very often. Her name is Leni too, and she turned 13. So these are two feral ladies.
So that's Beyond Tradition, open at the Bartlhaus Museum in Austria until October 27th. To repeat, this exhibit features artwork by Brody Neuenschwander, Wissam Shakat, Izzy Pludvinsky, and Marina Soria. I hope you'll be able to join us next month on August 25th for the next Blackletter Brunch, in which Coral Roars will give a talk about two subjects, calligraphy and type, inspired by the panel talk he moderated at the recent conference in the United States, and his work that went into the new wing of the American Sign Museum in Cincinnati. So that should be a very interesting talk. So thank you everybody for joining us, and have a good rest of your day, whether it be morning or evening or whatever. And thank you very much to Angelika, Marina, and Andrea for your wonderful talk.
Yeah. And thank you, Raoul.
Okay.
Thanks to you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
See you next time.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Marina and Angelika.
Bye-bye.
Thank you
Angelica.
so much, Andrea.
Bye.
See you
Bye.
next year. Bye-bye.
Yes,
Yeah.
bye.
Bye, Andrea. Thank you. Bye, Yukimi. Nice to see you.
Bye-bye.